Hello there, and welcome to Duel Links. So the Paradox event is happening right now, and, well, I mean, most people can just look up a good deck to play in the Paradox event, and some of you may have done that and found this video. So that's kind of what we're here to do. I have two decks to show off. The first one I'm going to show off is Stardust. So first let me explain the event a little bit. The Paradox event is a raid event. So basically, Paradox, this guy here, will show up, and he has a shit ton of health. So your normal strategies of, like, you know, just summoning a bajillion mech knights and, like, giving your opponent a hard time, those aren't gonna work. You also have to... You're also on a timer, because if you don't defeat him in 10 turns, like by turn 10, he will disappear. He will go poof into the Netherverse or wherever. So, your job as the, you know, during the raid event, is to deal as much damage as possible. And the game helps you a little bit here. By the way, when I'm talking he's got a lot of health, I mean he's got a lot of health. He's got, like... Well, it varies depending on his level, but I think it's in, like, the 100,000s. Yeah. He's got tons of health. So the game helps you a little bit. Any ace monster does triple battle damage. And yeah, here's a little explanation of what an ace monster is. They're just any monsters with a movie when summoned by certain characters. So, like, yeah, those are ace monsters. If you've played a monster with a character and you see a little bit of audio, like a little video that plays, that's an ace monster. In addition, the following monsters do 5 times more battle damage. So, not just triple damage, 5 times damage. Dark Magician, Dark Magician Girl, Elemental Hero Neos, Elemental Hero Neos Knight, Junk Warrior, Junk Gardna, Stardust Dragon, and Shooting Star Dragon. All of these monsters right here will do 5 times damage every time they hit. So I'm gonna show you off 2 decks. One is a little bit easier to build than the other one. First I'm gonna show you the harder deck to build, and that's the Stardust deck. And that is because this one is not quite the free-to-play option. I did spend money so that I could get all 3 copies of, like, Junk Synchron, which is essential to this deck. But let me show you off. First off, I'm gonna show you just the... First I'm just going to show the duel, then we'll show off the deck. Also, if you're noticing the lack of sound effects and the lack of actual in-game music, it's because I'm sick of it. I actually don't enjoy the music all that much, so I'm just playing my own theme song in the background. I hope you don't mind. Alright, so what we want to do. Our skill is Shooting Star Road. We've got Junk Converter in the graveyard. We can activate the effect of Junk Converter right here. Discard. It doesn't really matter. I guess I'm going to discard Junk Anchor. Grab our Junk Synchron. Then we summon Synchron. Activate its effect. Bring back Junk Converter. And then we can special summon, synchro summon, Junk Warrior. And if you notice that this card is on the list of cards that do 5 times damage. Also, if you're wondering why those cards specifically are the ones that do 5 times damage, it's because this is a story event, and it's basically based on, like, Yusei, or, yeah, Yusei, Jaden, and Yugi are all teaming up together to fight Paradox, and so it kind of is all of their ace monsters combined. Anyway, let's get back Junk Synchron. And then we will special summon Stardust Dragon. Here comes Stardust Dragon. Now we activate our skill. So we get Formula Synchron in play. Yes, put those cards on top of my deck. Go ahead and Synchro Summon Shooting Star Dragon. Activate its effect. Do not forget to activate its effect. I have forgotten a few times in the past to do so. Was that 5? Did we just get 5? Oh, hell yeah. Alright, now we equip with Power of the Guardians. This is very important. Do not equip it with Megamorph. Those two cards do not work with each other. Megamorph changes the original attack of Shooting Star Dragon, and Power of the Guardians makes it gain attack, so yeah, we don't want to equip. Anyway, let's go to battle. And yeah, once you have Power of the Guardians on Shooting Star Dragon, it gets kind of crazy. Yeah, you see there, we're doing our 5 times damage. And it's just gonna get more and more and more. Oh yeah. Wait. We got 3, right? I guess we got... Maybe we only got 4. I thought we had 5. But anyway, yeah, you see, we got a lot of damage off of that. Alright, what do we draw? It's Mystical Space Typhoon. Let's just... I guess we can set it. Not really much to do other than activate the effect again. Okay, so I counted two synchros that, two tuners that time. So we only get 2 attacks in. That's still fine. Junk Converter. You know what? This is actually kind of great for us. So we can activate Junk Converter, grab Junk Synchron. Actually, I should have activated Stardust first, but it's too late now. Yeah, grab Junk Synchron, bring back Junk Converter, special summon Junk Warrior, bring back Junk Synchron, and now we can special summon our Stardust Dragon again. Now, Stardust Dragon, it is safe to equip with Megamorph, so let's do that. Now, remember, activate Shooting Star. Okay, it looks like we got 3 off of that. So let's go to attacks. And he should be dead. And there we go, we killed Paradox, level 1000. So now let me go into showing off the deck a little bit. Yay, raid complete. Look at that. Yeah, we dealt 213,000 damage. Which actually should put us just in S rank. Nice. So yeah, there you go. If you want to go into S rank, this is the deck to do it with. Ooh, did we get a special thing? We did. Give me those jewels. Alright, so now let me show off exactly what the deck is. As I mentioned before, this deck is not easy or cheap to build, so do keep that in mind. But basically, what we have here is... Actually, you know what? This Kaiser... I had him in here, but you know who's better? Link Slayer. Yeah. And the Kaiser is a fun card, don't get me wrong, but Link Slayer is, I think, just objectively better. So, anyway, here's how the deck works. First, let's take a look at the skill, Shooting Star Road. In order to use the skill, you need to have 8 junk or synchron monsters in your deck. You're allowed to have other monsters, you just need to have at least 8 junk or synchrons. And your extra deck needs to have at least 1 Shooting Star Dragon and at least 4 junk, synchron, or stardust monsters. You're allowed to have more than that, but you need to have these conditions. If those conditions are met, you can use the skill, which starts with Junk Converter in the graveyard. And then when you control Stardust Dragon, you can just automatically summon Formula Synchron from outside your deck. And then you can place 3 tuners to the top of your deck from outside of your deck. It just takes 3 tuners and puts them on top. You can only special Wind, Dragon-type Synchro monsters or Warrior Synchro monsters until the end of your opponent's next turn. That isn't really going to matter. This skill can only be used once per duel if you begin the duel with these conditions. So there's the skill we use. What we have, we've got Link Slayer, who is just a one-off, and he's a 5-star monster that we can just special summon if we control no monsters. So if he's in our opener, we can special summon him. And then maybe if we have a tuner, we could also synchro summon something else out. But that's generally not plan A. That's like plan B. But you can also discard cards to destroy spells and traps, which is very useful, especially considering playing against Paradox. He's going to be playing the Malefic field spell, and you want to destroy that if you can. But yeah, Link Slayer, I think a lot of people are going to have Link Slayer at this point, so go ahead and run that. Then you want 3 copies of Junk Synchron. This card is essential if you want to combo off like I did. He's a 3-star tuner. When he is normal summoned, you can target 1 level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position, but it has its effects negated. That only applies when the card is in play. When it's in the graveyard, its effects are allowed to happen. I just have a copy of Jet Synchron. This can be whatever other Synchron monsters you happen to have. It doesn't really matter. Just need to make sure you meet that requirement of 8. And I'll be honest, I almost never use this card. Then we've got 3 copies of Junk Converter. Again, essential. This helps you search up for your Junk Synchron. So if you have a tuner in your hand, you can discard this card and a tuner to add any Synchron monster from your deck to your hand. So that's going to be Junk Synchron. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you can target 1 tuner in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position, but it cannot activate its effects this turn. And yeah, you can only use each effect once per turn. So basically the combo is you have Converter in your graveyard, you special summon it with Junk Synchron's effect, then you synchro summon a level 5 Junk Warrior, and then Junk Converter's effect will trigger. You can bring back Junk Synchron, and now you have a total of 8 levels between Junk Synchron and your level 5 Synchro monster. That gives you the 8 that you need to summon Stardust. And then other cards I have, again, Junk Anchor can literally just be any Junk or Synchron. It doesn't matter. I never use this card. Mono Synchron is slightly more useful. just because there is a single instance in which, like, if I happen to have Mono Synchron and Synchron Carrier in my starting hand, I can just Synchro Summon Formula Synchron. But, you don't need this card. It can just be any Synchron or Junk monster. It doesn't matter. Then I got a single copy of Synchron Carrier. Again, just needed to fill out those 8 cards, but it's a nice to have as a one-off, because it says during your main phase you can normal summon 1 Synchron monster in addition to your normal summon or set. So if you just want the extra monster, this can give you the extra material to, like, I don't know, maybe summon one of these guys. Or if for whatever reason Junk Converter happens to be banished, you can, Synchron Carrier into Junk Synchron. Won't be able to bring anything back off of its effect, but you can at least Synchro Summon your level 5. And then we've got Changer Synchron, just a one-off. Again, this can be anything. I kind of like it though. I almost never use it, but on the off chance that I do use it, the thing with Paradox is, you saw in that last duel, he loves to set his monsters in defense position. And that can get annoying, especially if you don't have Shooting Star Dragon or any boss monster that can attack more than once per turn. So Changer Synchron can just, change the battle position of any monster when it's used as synchro material. Then we have 1 copy of Megamorph. It's not the best card in this deck, and it's not the best card in most decks. It's really only good in the event. The Paradox event, it's really solid, but otherwise, it's kind of meh. But yeah, when your life points are lower than your opponent's, and they absolutely will be, because remember, Paradox has a shit ton of health, the equipped monster's attack becomes double its original attack. And when your life points are higher, the equipped monster's attack becomes half. So there's that. Then we're running 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. This can just be any spell removal. This is specifically to get rid of the Malefic Field spell. 1 copy of Book of Moon. I find I rarely am using this card. But towards the later parts of the event, there might be times when this card actually comes in handy, because there's a 5,000 attack Malefic monster that Paradox likes to summon occasionally, and you might not always be in the best situation to deal with that, so this can be a lifesaver if you need it. Then we have 3 copies of Power of the Guardians. You saw how well that goes with Shooting Star Dragon, because every single time Shooting Star attacks, you get a spell counter on Power of the Guardians. And this card is both an offensive card and a defensive card, because if the monster it's equipped to would be destroyed, you can choose to remove a spell counter instead. And then 1 copy of Void Trap Hole. This can really just be whatever you want it to be. I'm running it just specifically because I need a way to deal with, like, occasionally I'll be playing defense against Paradox, and this is just a good way to deal with any of his Malefic monsters. Then in our extra deck, we have Shooting Star Dragon. This is the main guy that we want to be summoning. He's kind of difficult to summon unless you're using the skill. If you are using the skill, he is super easy to summon. Once per turn, excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, then shuffle them back in. And this card's maximum number of attacks per battle phase this turn, it becomes equal to the number of tuners that got excavated. So you want as many tuners as you can, because if you excavate 5 tuners, this card gets 5 attacks. But also keep in mind, the opposite is also true. If you excavate 0 tuners, it does not get to attack. Once per turn, during either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that would destroy a card on the field, you can negate the effect, and if you do, destroy it. That's just a freebie. Like, if someone wants to destroy anything, you can just say no. Once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can target the attacking monster, banish this card, and if you do, negate the attack. During the next end phase, special summon this card, banished by this effect. So it's kind of protection if your opponent is attacking you with a monster that you can't really deal with. But you generally don't want to be doing this, because if you do end up doing this, it unequips the equip spell. Then we got 2 copies of Stardust Dragon. Just a generic level 8. During either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that would destroy a card on the field, you can tribute this monster to negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. During the end phase, if this effect was activated this turn, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. So, Stardust Dragon functions as protection. Usually it's not going to be on the field because you're just going to use it as material to summon Shooting Star Dragon, but on the off chance that you do have it around, it's nice to have. Then I also am running Coral Dragon because you can, I believe, yeah, there's like a few instances in which you could synchro summon a level 6 if for whatever reason you need to start doing plan B. You can go ahead and summon this guy. Once per turn, you can discard a card and target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. And if it dies, you get to draw a card. Then 2 copies of Junk Warrior. This we will almost never have in play. We will almost always just be using it as material to summon, to basically climb into Stardust into Shooting Star. 1 copy of Formula Synchron. You don't even need to be running the 1 copy because you get a free copy off of Shooting Star Road, but I like to have it around. It's nice to have. And if you happen to synchro summon it, then you get to draw a card. And it also gives you the ability to synchro summon during your opponent's turn, during a chain. So that's just a nice little bonus. And then I just have a copy of Tatsunoko. It's just like it's a level 3 tuner, first of all, so you can, if for whatever reason you're out of junk synchrons and you have a level 2 non-tuner in play, then that's a way you can get junk warrior, I suppose. Also, you can use material in your hand as synchro material, so you could also just say if you had Link Slayer in hand, just get Stardust Dragon for free. But yeah, these 3 cards here are not that essential. You can just replace them with anything that you happen to have, and I almost never summon them. They're just kind of there. So this is the deck that I use, as you say, to take on Paradox. But it is a bit of an expensive deck because most of the cards you're either gonna need to be digging through a lot of boxes to get, or you're gonna need to be spending actual real world money in order to, like, yeah, buy the Stardust Nexus, what are these called? Structure deck. Yeah, you're gonna need to buy the structure deck. So, let me show you a cheaper option. This one is a much easier build, and it works fairly well. I actually haven't tested it. I kind of built this from scratch just now, but I did play it back during the last Paradox event, so it should still work. So let's just give it a test run, I guess. But this is the Dark Magician variation. This one bricks, like, it does really like to brick, so be prepared for that to happen. But this is actually a decent starting hand. So, activate skill. Oh, right. You don't need this skill. This deck can actually go with any character at all. Like, if there's a character that you're trying to level up, just give them this deck and it'll be perfectly fine. But no, what we're gonna do is Dark Magic Curtain to get one of our Dark Magicians. And then, so this prevents us from summoning, so what I'm gonna do is set Generation Next, and normally we save MST for the field spell, but I don't trust whatever card Paradox has set there, so we're gonna destroy that right now. Looks like it was Malefic Tune. Not terrible, but still. And yeah, let's set Dark Magic Expanded and go to attacks. at the end of his turn, we're gonna activate Generation Next to get Elemental Hero Neos and special summon it. Alright, we drew Power of Guardians, that's what we like to see. Let's equip it to Dark Magician and go to attacks. We drew Megamorph. Okay, that works for me. Let's equip that to Neos. Then go to battle. Alright, now Neos is actually depowered, unfortunately, but this is still fine. And now we drew Magician Navigation. Alright, let's just activate Dark Magic Expanded. Might as well set that, why not? Go to attacks. And say goodbye, Paradox. And that is the Dark Magician version, variation of this event deck. It's easier to build. It won't deal quite as... Hey, 69, nice. It won't deal quite as much damage as the Stardust variation does, but you live with what you can, and this is a more budget option. So let me show you this budget option. And yeah, a lot of these cards you can just kind of acquire from the trader or tickets or whatnot. Some of them you can't, and that's a little bit unfortunate, but there are substitutions you can make. So first of all, we got Magician's Rod just as a one-off. Yeah, you can get him from Arcana or just get him from the trader. Then we've got one copy of Elemental Hero Neos. That is for us to search up with Generation Next. And 3 copies of Dark Magician. Then we have 2 copies of Megamorph. This version of the deck compared to the Stardust deck, Megamorph is actually a little bit better because none of these monsters can actually attack more than once per turn, and so yeah, Megamorph is a little bit better in that sense. 2 MSTs to deal with the field spell. 1 Dark Magical Circle. This isn't essential. If you don't have a copy, it's fine. Find some other card to replace it with. It's not that big a deal. In fact, what you might have... Hang on. Dark Magician. Yeah, you might have Eternal Soul lying around, and if you do, that's a solid addition to the deck. So, wouldn't say no to that. Again, also Eternal Soul is a decent replacement if you don't have 2 copies of Magician Navigation. But either way, Yeah, just I like the 1 copy of Dark Magical Circle. Then 3 copies of Dark Magic Curtain, just because we want to ensure that we can get out one of our boss monsters on our first turn. And Dark Magic Curtain lets us do that, as long as we don't have all 3 of our Dark Magicians in our starting hand. Dark Magic Expanded, just as a one-off, you can replace this card with something else. It's, like, fine if you don't. Yeah, it's fine if you don't use this, but I like to have it. It's saved my skin a few times. So yeah. Then we've got Generation Next, just a 1 copy for our elemental hero Neos. So if your life points are lower than your opponent's, and they will be because you're playing against Paradox, you add to your hand or special summon 1 elemental hero monster, Kuriboh, or Neospatian from your deck or graveyard, with attack less than or equal to the difference in life points. Also, for the rest of the turn, you cannot activate effects or effects of cards with the same name as that card. So, yeah. Basically, so this doesn't work if Neos is in your hand, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. But this is just an easy way to get out a boss monster on your first turn. Then I have 1 copy of Stop Defense, simply because, well, like, there's a million different cards that are probably better to run instead of Stop Defense, but this is my recommendation for, at least in the earlier levels. Paradox will, like I said, he loves to set his monsters and just play defensively. And if you can't get out more than 1 of your boss monsters, you're not going to be able to deal damage to him. So what you need is some way to get past his defense, which that's what Stop Defense does. There's probably better cards you could run instead. Let me just see. Isn't there... I swear there's like a card. I could be wrong, but I swear there's a card that literally just says destroy target defense position monster or something like that. Ideally, what you would have is piercing an actual word? Yes, it is. So ideally what you would have is, yeah, this card, Big Bang Shot, is nice to have. Same with Fairy Meteor Crush. How do you get these, by the way? So that's from Valkyrie's Rage, and that is from Wonders of the Sky. Yeah, so if you have these cards lying around that let you deal piercing damage, absolutely swap those out, because Stop Defense isn't actually that very good. It's just kind of nice to have. Then we're running 2 copies of Power of the Guardians because it's still really decent it's not as good as it is in the Stardust deck, because in the Stardust deck we at least have a boss monster that gets multiple attacks, whereas this version, all of our monsters can only attack once per turn, and Malefics can get big, so there may be a point where you think you're winning, and then Paradox summons like a 4,000 attack monster, and you have no way of getting through that. That kind of sucks when that happens. And then we got Magician Navigation, 2 copies of that. Because in the off chance that you do have Dark Magician in your starting hand, which is admittedly a low chance, but if you do happen to, then that's a way for you to get 2 of them in play, not on your first turn, but like at least on your opponent's turn, and then you can do things the following turn. And it also has the bonus effect of being able to stop face-up spell and trap cards. It doesn't destroy, but it does negate, so sometimes what I like to do is negate the activation of the Malefic field spell, and then Paradox is just down 1 card that turn. So yeah. But anyway, like I said, changes I would make both to this deck and to the Stardust deck are, if you have any equipped spells that let you deal piercing damage, put those in. Because those will be very useful to have. But anyway, yeah, like I said, this version of the deck is a lot easier to build than the Stardust version. Magician Navigation is a little bit harder to acquire because that one actually it comes from a... Hang on. Oh, it actually comes from a structure deck. I didn't know that. Uh-huh. I see. Yeah. Magician Navigation is a little bit harder to get, but it is kind of very good if you can get your hands on it. Vtuber Studios decided it's gonna stop working, but I'm just gonna roll with it. Yeah, Power of the Guardians is very easy to get. It comes from a bunch of different boxes. Alright, there we go. I don't know what was going on with Vtuber Studio. Stop Defense comes from everywhere. Like, if you don't have a Stop Defense, why? Generation Next, that comes from Hero Generation, so understandable if you don't have it. Also, I can't remember which of these cards you can actually use tickets on. I think Generation Next might be one of those cards. If you happen to have a rare ticket lying around, you can spend it on that. Dark Magic Expanded is very easy to get. That comes from the trader. Same with Dark Magic Curtain. Or no, apparently not. But I'm fairly certain this one you can at least spend tickets on to get. They are ultra rares, so not as common, but they're still fairly common. Like, you'll have ultra rare tickets lying around, so that's a good way to get Dark Magic Curtain. Dark Magical Circle, in my opinion, is the hardest one to get. So again, don't worry if you don't have this card. I didn't have this card for a very long time. MST is one of the best spell and trap removal cards out there, but there are other substitutions you can make if you don't have it. It's perfectly fine. You know, you can substitute it with Cosmic Cyclone if you have that, or there's also Spiritualism. This one you can get from the trader, very easy. Megamorph only comes from the Paradox event, but it's also, I want to say you can spend tickets to get this one. I am not positive, but I think you can. And then, of course, we got our Dark Magicians and Elemental Hero Neos. These are such central cards to the anime that, like, you are going to have them in your collection, even if you don't want them. And Magician's Rod, again, easy to get from, like, everywhere. This deck does not have an extra deck. There could be an argument for having one if you really wanted to, but you'd kind of be hurting yourself if you did, because the only way you'd be able to summon monsters would be like maybe an Xyz summon or possibly a Link summon, and in both of those cases, it's like, it's just not going to deal as much damage because you need that 5 times boost if you want to be able to deal with Paradox. So, yeah, those are the 2 decks I have for the Paradox event. And yeah, don't worry if you're not dealing a lot of damage, because you still get, like, benefits. You still get, like, these things just for assisting. But, if you do really care about dealing high amounts of damage so that you can get the Rainbow Pack, then in that case, these are the decks I recommend. So, with that said, thank you so much for watching. Check in the description for all my links. You can find those in my card, and that's all the different ways you can support me. And I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe, and do all those things that can be, yeah, they just tell YouTube that you like my stuff, and so the algorithm starts to like my stuff. It's great for all of us. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.